I'm going to film you because I want to make sure that this complaint is on the record, and if I need to post it on YouTube to make sure we handled it right, then that's what I'm going to do. So yesterday you had a deputy, and his name is Silveria.
This is Susan Bassey. For over 20 years, I operated lettuce seed farming businesses with my husband, raised my children, and dabbled in publishing. Police officers were people that I trusted, I believed in the courts, and I believed pigs were pigs and lettuce was lettuce. And then I entered California's family courts, where I have been for the last 7 years and where I have attended thousands of court hearings.
I'm asking you to order the security cameras of what just happened. I understand you destroy them within 2 weeks. I'm making a formal request that you review those security cameras and what your deputy just did. I'm making a formal complaint, and I'm asking you to do that.
I will review the security cameras.
And
in this case, it is a body worn camera.
I'd like...
Law Sergeant 1922 is the badge.
Is that correct?
Oh, I thought you were handing me that.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
So he was in a courtroom where I was attending.
The First Amendment not only protects speech, the press, freedom of religion, but it also protects our right to seek redress of our government. That means to complain about police officers, lawyers, judges, public officials, anybody who is paid with public funds. And, of course, after complaining to Sergeant Schlaw about the deputies he manages and supervises in the courtroom, I decided to take a look at his salary. In 2017, he was paid $246,636.99.
Be grateful for this time of year, but we have our health and our families and our friends.
By comparison, in 2017, the Santa Clara County District Attorney Jeff Rosen made $454,082.20, and he has since gotten a raise. In 2016, the local bar association hosted their annual holiday party, where judges, lawyers, and police officers were in attendance, along with court clerks and court reporters. At that holiday party, a staffer from the Attorneys Bar Association asked 2 photographers to stay and take photos of the event. She gave them her contact information. She gave them a flyer from the event. She gave them a seating chart showing them where all the judges and lawyers would be sitting and asked them to take photographs. She also gave them song lyrics and said that the judges and lawyers would be singing songs, and she asked for them to record it. While I was not present at this holiday event, when the young photographer returned to my car and told me about it, he was visibly sick and very bothered. I didn't see the videos of this event for several years, and when I did, combined with what I know, it made me sick as well. And while we were unable to collect fees for the photographer who was asked to film the holiday party, the attorneys who attended this party had no trouble collecting fees from court orders that were issued by the judges who attended this party as well. And also present at this event were the court reporters, those who work in the courtroom and make a record for the judge, those who have been known to change transcripts and to give attorneys favorable pricing and secret deals, while people who have to represent themselves in court are charged outrageous fees for these transcripts and often ordered to pay them in cash through the bailiff assigned to the court. And while the judges and lawyers present at this party think this is a normal holiday party on its face, for those who had to represent themselves in court and had their houses stolen or their children taken because of a corrupt feeling court system, this holiday party is an image of corruption, an image of what is going on out of the eye of the public view. And for the families impacted by corruption, the holidays will look vastly different. There will be children who don't see their parents, their aunts, their uncles, their cousins, and their grandparents. There will be families separated permanently by a court system that said they acted in the best interest of children and instead acted only for their own political gain and their pocketbooks, as they profited from families who needed attorneys to act in their best interests and instead had attorneys who were corrupt and corrupted our courts. If there's one thing I've learned in the last 3 years, that is that you have to listen to both sides, and that corruption, especially public corruption, can only be dealt with transparency. So 3 years after that holiday party, after the local bar association was refusing to pay the photographer they asked to do the work, I decided again to try to collect the fees that the lawyers owed that photographer. Since the First Amendment doesn't seem to apply in Santa Clara County, nor does the Eighth Amendment, since judges in this county feel free to sanction people involved in divorce cases anywhere from $50,000 to $1 million, I felt entitled to take a few highlighters and free items offered by the Bar Association where the attorneys have benefited from all these excessive fines and fees. And as I sat waiting for the staff to assist me in getting the photographer paid, almost on cue, in walked Judge Pierce, a judge who had once sanctioned a wife in a divorce case over $120,000 after she reported a private judge to the state bar.
Judge Pierce. Hey, Judge Pierce, how are you? Judge Pierce, would you like to discuss sanctioning women in family courts to the tune of $120,000 and then going out and drinking at whiskey and war stories with the very attorneys that you got those sanction awards for? Judge Pierce, why was it that you were actually just talking to all the sheriffs who were trying to arrest people for searching their court files related to custody and divorce matters? Judge Pierce, are you jaywalking in a street in San Jose, California? Do you know that that's a violation of the law?
Now, like police officers, judges are required to follow the law. They're also held to a higher standard and have an oath that requires them to disclose their potential conflicts and biases before hearing a case. In Santa Clara County, we haven't been too successful finding evidence that judges are following the law. The law also requires judges to discipline attorneys who engage in unlawful conduct or unethical conduct, and yet we find judges rarely do.
And how is it that you're representing Mr. Stefan? Are you aware that he's in bankruptcy court and that he says he only has $100 worth of clothing? And Mr. Hammon, is it true that you're representing Mr. Stefan for free so that you can get part of a settlement from the county, that you've colluded with Judge Towery and others? Do you have a comment, Mr. Stefan? Mr. Stefan, you cheated taxpayers by having an affair with Netta Redman. Were you having an affair with a subordinate while you were the claims manager for the district attorney's office? Mr. Hammon, are you having your client jaywalk in violation of the law? Mr. Hammon, are you encouraging your client to jaywalk?
Hi, is Netta here, or is he here? Hi, hi, is he here?
Who is this? Is that back there?
Is, yeah, a friend of mine.
I think you have a...
And drop it at their feet.
What are you doing?
Trying to collect an invoice that's 3 years out of date.
As more Santa Clara County judges appeared to be arriving for a free lunch at the local bar association, my associate decided to follow them and find out what they were doing. Hey, Piggy.
Was it crowded? No, thank you because of the rain. Yes.
Was it still the happiest place on earth?
Yeah, it will be in a different location. 5:30.
On Thursday. Okay.
In case you missed it, Gabe, whoever Gabe is, has offered to host hors d'oeuvres and a no-host bar at Scott's Seafood in downtown San Jose at 5:30 this coming up Thursday.
What do you want?
And while the local lawyers and judges were feasting again on their holiday treats and making plans for Scott's Seafood at 5:30 on Thursday in downtown San Jose, I decided to keep trying to collect the invoice for my photographer.
Last December 2nd, 2016, I had a young photographer ask to film your holiday bar party, and he did. And he asked me for an amount of money to collect for the photos, and I sent an invoice, and the lawyers have not paid for that invoice. That was the holiday function at the San Jose Rotary, where the judges, lawyers, bailiffs, and court clerks were present. And you guys asked him to do the work. Angie Laola did, and gave him a note. I have the notes, I have the song lyrics, the seating charts, and everything else that they gave me. And I'd like to collect the invoice for him. He's a young kid, he doesn't make much money, and he's been out that money for 3 years. His mother has died of cancer while we've been waiting for it, and I'd like to get the money. You guys have a lot of money for your facility, and I think the kid deserves to be paid.
Can you guys have a seat in the conference room here, and I'll get the CEO to come and talk to you guys, okay?
Sure.
And if you guys just keep it
On
on the job.
December 8th for $2,500, which is what my photographer requested. And the bar hasn't paid for my photographer's fees. You asked him to do the work, he took the photographs,
And I explained to you in the email, I had no record of any of that. I still have no record of any of that. I didn't receive anything.
I showed you the note that Angie wrote him and asked him. She gave him the seating assignments, she gave him the song lyrics, she asked him to take photographs of all the lawyers.
No, I didn't get any of
This
that.
photographer who must be grown now, and so.
The point is, I am
doing his own bidding, I'm sure.
No, that's
would
what I
like
do
to-
for him.
Uh-huh.
You know, that's what we call contractors. He's an independent contractor.
I don't have
and
his
dealing,
contract.
A lady gave him the paper and asked him to record.
Send stuff to me, I've replied to you, so you have it.
And I believe I've sent you all this stuff. I will have it to you by this afternoon so we can get this young man paid before this holiday.
Well, I don't know that that's gonna happen, because I'm gonna have to run this through. I'm just looking for this for you know, then check it with people who were there.
Since Gabe was hosting an event at Scott's Seafood at 5:30 on Thursday, we thought we'd go there and try to collect one more time.
Susan.
We're looking for Gabe's party for the Santa Clara Bar Association.
I'll lay down the hall, they do the extra. Thank you.
Am I following someone?
Go down the hall to it.
We were pleasantly surprised to find that Justice Greenwood of the 6th Appellate District was dining at Scott's that night, and since the Bar Association CEO told us we would need to talk to people who were at that 2016 holiday party, Justice Greenwood would qualify because she was definitely there. And while we were a little late for the appetizers that Gabe had offered up that evening, I was greatly relieved to see that Elise Mitchell was on the board and would be able to help with our effort to collect for the photographer. Elise Mitchell was definitely at the holiday party in 2016 because she and Kathyrn Schlepphorst ran up to Judge Emede and said that there were protesters at the event. Elise Mitchell receives countless appointments as minors counsel before Judge Scott. She's done very well on fee awards before Judge Towery, and she has informed her clients that anybody associated with me would never get a fair hearing before Judge Towery.
Gabe invited us.
I've been told that they don't. You guys, they don't want you filming as well. So I've been told that you can't go back there. They don't. They asked for nobody else to come into the room.
It seems that not only do the attorneys not want to pay their bills for the work they ask a photographer to do, but they don't seem to be too keen on transparency issues. And we still had some questions about those law enforcement officers dining with judges and lawyers at the holiday party.
Shouldn't have known about it. And we'd like to know how much taxpayers paid for bailiffs to be present at that holiday event eating lunch with judges.
And Deputy Oliveri, the bailiff assigned to Judge Towery's courtroom, saw his salary shoot up to $126,000 after he was present at the holiday luncheon.
The bar does host events.
And you had armed and uniformed deputies at that event, and they were eating lunch next to the judges. We have a right to know how much taxpayers paid for that.
We
And
do
if it
pay
was,
for security. It's a requirement that there's a judicial
they were eating lunch
protection.
with the judges. So was that a gift? Was that a favor? We don't see that anywhere in the records. And I've done records requests.
We do pay for the security.
And then you give them lunch next to the judges?
As a general rule, we often, for example, at judges' night.
Not only did the county bar host an event where bailiffs dined with judges and lawyers, but they mocked self-represented parties, and they laughed at the fact that they had taken homes from families, separated children from their parents, and placed custody with abusers who could afford the best lawyers. For over 30 years, special masters, private judges, and minors' council's appointments have ruined the lives of thousands of families, and these judges and lawyers have allowed it to happen. They have incited conflict. The bailiffs in the courtroom have showed favoritism to one side, the side that has the most money. When my young photographer returned to my car, he spoke not only about the songs that they sang mocking the people who had to represent themselves in their divorce and custody cases. He talked specifically about this award that was given to Judge Marianne Grilli while she was flocked with a bailiff in uniform, her court reporter Stephanie Estes, and her court clerk Jarita Reeser. These people had protected Judge Grilli throughout her career. They were even willing to violate the law and the fundamental rights of other people. Judge Grilli once told a deaf woman, who had to represent herself in court, to read lips and make do. She was sued for ADA violations. That case went secretly away, and Marianne Grilli was allowed to continue to be a judge, even though the courts knew she was violating the most fundamental rights of the people who appeared in her courtroom.
She practiced in our community for nearly 20 years prior to her appointment as a family court commissioner in 1993.
Outside the legal community, Judge Grilli's legacy was not so bright. Families were destroyed, children were harmed, and families were bankrupted after appearing in Judge Grilli's courtrooms, whether for a divorce, custody, or probate case. Judge Grilli always favored the attorneys. She awarded attorneys' fees in unconscionable amounts. She allowed parents to drag out their divorce cases for years and years as the attorneys incited fighting in order to make more in fees. Bradford Baugh, Judge Grilli's favorite attorney, lied about having served in the Vietnam War for over 40 years, and yet Judge Grilli still awarded him $100,000 in attorney's fees against a mother who was on Medi-Cal and who had immigrated here from China.
Judicial officer, and that same year she received the Henry Collado Award for service to families, family court, and the Keys. 2006, she got the Donald King Award as Outstanding Family Court Judge. In 2007, the Pro Bono Project awarded her the PLSR Video Award.
We do pay for the security.
And then you give them lunch next to the judges?
As a general rule, we often, for example, at judges' night.
Be what you saw. When I walked into the clerk.
Hello.
Good afternoon, Judge.
Okay, thank you.
Hi.
Happy holidays.
Email today.
How or what you saw or perceived, but the deputy was advising Mr. Larger that you were here.
Civil harassment and domestic violence restraining orders are the new weapon in an arsenal for family law attorneys. These orders, rubber stamped by judges, often earn divorce attorneys anywhere from $20,000 to $100,000 more in a divorce or custody case. In one case, Judge Michael Clark issued a 50-year restraining order against a father that was requested by Minors Counsel Bradford Baugh. It's hard to imagine how any judge could issue a 50-year restraining order and what law they would rely on to do so. The reality is the majority of these orders are poorly written, and law enforcement officers struggle with how to enforce them, and local district attorneys don't enforce them because they send parties back to court where private attorneys can earn more money.
By their spouse. You don't tell them they have to wait behind that spouse in line. You make that spouse move away. You people don't seem to know how to enforce protective orders.
Okay, I appreciate that, but in the that is the judge's.
Yes, and I saw how you all handled the judge yesterday, and you tried to get my associate
Was I in
arrested.
there?
Huh, no, but every officer you manage and supervise was in there.
A rape victim once told me that after she was raped, the police officers who got her to the hospital and assisted her in the immediate hours following the rape provided her assistance that was life-saving. Sheriff Smith even called her and helped her get through what was arguably the most difficult time of her life. And yet she described for me that what was worse than being raped was dealing with a 10-year divorce case before a private judge where she lost her home, custody of her children, and the lifetime savings she had earned being an executive in Silicon Valley. So to all the police officers who attended this event, a basic economics lesson that my grandfather always taught me is there's no such thing as a free lunch. And maybe YouTube is the best place for us to address all of our First Amendment issues, including our grievances. And maybe the lawyers need to be put on YouTube just as the police officers have. And maybe, just maybe, this holiday season, all the judges, lawyers, police officers, court reporters, and court clerks could reach into their pockets and donate $1 or $5 to help make sure that the Santa Clara County Bar Association finally pays the photographer that they asked to do some work on December 2nd, 2016. And maybe this holiday season we can finally get that photographer paid. And for anybody who wants to bring greater transparency to a lawyer, please put a hashtag in their comments and name the lawyer.